Patrick Avenue. And then we'll take it higher. Oh, we gonna rock down to Electric.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to an evening with Senator Michael Moore. Mike, how are you?
Wonderful. How are you, Joseph?
Good. Well, we've survived Easter, and we've survived Passover, and we've survived the nice weather.
Yes. Well, we're just getting into the nice weather.
Right, we are.
And thank God we didn't have the snowstorm hit us that hit the other parts of the country.
Oh, I know, huh?
Yep.
And we're taping this on the local election day, the 24th of April. And this has to be the coldest day in the last month. Because I stood out there for a few minutes holding a sign for myself, but I didn't have a sign because I ran a fundraiser for me for assessor, and nobody came, so I didn't make any money. So I couldn't buy a sign. So
Okay.
now
Well,
that you've heard my tale of woe.
You should have called and told some of us. Maybe we could have helped you out.
Well, you know, I was too proud. But I did stand out there, all kidding aside, talking to the other candidates and who had opposition, and it was cold out there, especially at 7 o'clock.
As you know, I was out there I've been out there.
Yeah, you were out there
it's
for
cold.
a while, holding a sign for Mike Moore, and that was nice.
Yeah, well, you want people to know you want
Yep,
the job.
that you're running,
Yep.
and that you're a hard campaigner.
Well, thank
You're
you.
a hard campaigner. And God knows those of us who work for you know that.
I can take credit for some of those gray hair.
Yes, you can. All of them, actually. And but we enjoy doing it, Mike, because we feel that we're getting the better end of the deal with you down in Boston.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't even get paid, folks. I just want you to know that. But it is advantageous to us. Those of us that are close with Mike to campaign for him, because I feel that, and I know the others do too, that Mike needs to stay there so that we can continue on a positive direction.
Thank you. And not just because I'm there, but I think if you look at the direction the state's headed in, there's always going to be the naysayers, but it was just in yesterday's paper or the day before that they talked about the unemployment rate in Massachusetts.
6.5.
6.5.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I was thinking we thought it was great when we were down 8 something or
It's
7 point
and then
something
6.9.
6.5.
Yeah.
I mean, another point and a half, and we'll literally have wiped out unemployment in Massachusetts.
Well, we'll be getting back to a reasonable rate.
Right. I mean,
Everyone
5%
looks,
is
right.
not
Everyone looks at 5%
unreasonable.
as so we're getting close.
So that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see that the industry starting to come back to Mass, and we're really heading in a positive direction. I don't know if it's because I'm paying more attention to what the Senate does since you've been elected to it, or because you have 40 individuals down there that are really working together for the most part to get things done and get Massachusetts, or keep Massachusetts on the.
I think look, I love to take credit for everything, but the fact that we do have 40 senators that aren't looking at party lines, that we are voting, like a couple of bills that we're going to talk about today, legislation, there was 39-0, 37-0.
That's good.
The budget, right? It shows full support from both parties. That everyone has the ultimate goal of trying to better the state, better the economy, and move everything forward.
I think what people have to understand is most times that there's bickering on a bill, or when we were on the selectmen together on an issue, most times it's something that is not as important as the ones that you kind of get together on. The real big things, everybody seems to pull together. It's the little things that you get hung up on for some reason. And I think
Those are the ones that make the headlines.
Right, those are the ones that make the headlines. I think they even do that in Congress and the Senate in Washington, But you take, you're right, the 35 to nothing, 37 to nothing. Votes are on important pieces of legislation, which keeps the state moving. Then you come up with some dumb piece of legislation, and you're divided,
And then that's what makes the headline, and
Right.
partisanship.
Yeah, and everybody's saying, "Yeah, they don't get nothing done down there." You know,
Yeah.
they forgot about the 10 bills that you guys passed that kept America working here. You know?
And then the 30, the ones that we do all vote together on, it's they're all in cahoots
Yeah,
together.
you can't win. You really can't. You know, well, I gave up trying.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone today about this. We were talking about trying to how you deal with this. I don't want to say, I hate to use the word spin, but how you deal with the perception that if everyone does vote together on an issue, it's we're all just
Good
together
old boys.
And if you argue, it's like, oh, see, they can't agree on anything.
Right.
So yeah, you get that.
Well, what is it they say about policemen? If you don't grab somebody, you know, those guys, they're always in Dunkin' Donuts. They never catch anybody. And when you do catch them with somebody, you were lucky.
Yeah.
You know? That cop was lucky. He ran in front of them or whatever happened. You know? And so it's just one of those things. I think after you've been in office a while, you just decide that, hey, look, I'm going to do the right thing for my constituents. And, you know, if somebody wants to be critical of that, well, so be it.
Yeah.
If they want an explanation, let them call me, I'll tell them.
And that's all you can really do. Hopefully, if you explain the facts that we're facing you, that they'll understand your reasoning, and they agree with it. They agree with it. They don't. At least, hopefully, they respect your decision process.
Exactly, and they should.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, you have to put some. It's like if you own a company and you have a CEO or you have a manager, you have to put some trust in him or her to run the company for you and to make the right decisions.
Well, it's funny 'cause yesterday I was with someone and we were talking about you can never please everyone, and that's true. When you have, say, like my Senate district, I have parts of the city of Worcester, then I have parts of the town of Upton. You show me what's similar in those two demographics.
I don't think there is.
So when when I have issues coming up with urban violence, obviously the town of Upton doesn't see the need for expending revenues or
No,
money
of
for
course
those things. So it's difficult. You'll have, when you have to look at the district and the diversity of it, some issues you're voting on don't have any implications to the other parts of your district.
No, and that is why people have to trust your judgment.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone with an ounce of common sense would understand that the needs in the city of Worcester, even the needs in Millbury,
Are different than.
are different than the needs in Upton.
Yeah.
And Upton's a nice little community, it really is, but it's
Beautiful.
one of those bedroom communities that is not a high crime district.
And even if you go to Shrewsbury compared to Millbury, if you look at the school systems, Shrewsbury I think has over 30 different languages that are spoken within the public school system. I don't think Millbury's anywhere near that as far as the
No.
diversity of the language. So there's going to be different needs that school system has compared to what Millbury needs.
And I'm sure that you have people that keep you on top of that stuff so that you...
Oh, well, the fact that I know they have 30 different languages.
Right. The fact that you just didn't pull that out of the sky. I didn't know that.
Yeah. No.
I just learned something tonight. I keep hanging around with you. I'm just going to be brilliant. You know? I'm going to get to the questions. I don't want to get too smart. Then I might be running against you.
Well, for the first one, I have to refer to the notes. There's so many different aspects to this first piece of
Yeah,
legislation.
and in fact, unless you're... Most of them are pretty lengthy in their explanations, but they require a lengthy explanation.
Yeah, no, they do.
Talking to some people during this past week, they told me they love this show because they feel that you especially make it informative, because they wouldn't know half this stuff otherwise. So when we bring it up on the show here, and it's usually before it really starts getting big headlines.
Well, the headlines don't fully tell the story
Right.
yet either.
But by the time it starts getting publicity, they already are in tune with what's going on, so they can sit there and say, well, yeah, I know about that. I heard the senator talk about it on his show. And that's what they like about this
That's good.
show.
Well, we're supposed to be informative, bring the issues back to our district. And there's so many positive aspects of the various media outlets today. And actually, I think public access, people don't really utilize it enough. because there's so many advantages.
And I'm a big fan of public access, and I when I was a selectman, I worked very hard to make sure that we got a fair deal with Charter and Verizon, and Verizon finally saw the light, and I think we have very good public access
Oh,
here.
no, we do. Very good. Yeah.
And I enjoy a lot of the shows that are on public access, especially.
The Joe Coggins show.
Well, that's a great show. I mean, that goes without saying. But no, I'm thinking of the planning board and well, I don't watch the selectmen meetings.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that, and I don't want to become the sixth selectman. And I know I found myself when I did watch them, I'm there and they're talking about an issue, and I'm talking to myself saying, "What are you guys talking about? If I was there, I would do." And not that they're wrong, or that I'm right, but I'm saying, I don't want to put myself through this because they don't need a sixth selectman. It's a hard enough job as it is with the five, whoever the five may be that are there. And I could see myself someday, if I keep watching them, running down there and wanting to talk on an issue, and I shouldn't.
Right.
I shouldn't. And I'm really going to try not to. Well, I don't. If I really get frustrated, I might throw a shot on my show at them, but I haven't done that more than once or twice. So I'm getting better at that. Your mother said that. I ran into your mother the other day. Actually, she was out in the yard, and I stopped and talked to her, and we were talking about that, and we had a few good laughs. We were talking about some of the things that your father, some of the famous lines your father had. It was hysterical. It's amazing how you remember some of the things he did 35, 40 years ago.
Yeah. Because
I go back to the 60s, with the 60s and 70s with your parents. So, yeah, we had a good time talking. Your mother hasn't changed a bit. God bless her.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
And she's just as frisky now as she was back when I was younger too. But we had a nice conversation, and we enjoyed talking there for a few minutes. And she was, if she's watching, your DVD is coming on the show that she wants.
She just told me today.
Yeah, and she told me when I saw her I think it was Saturday I saw her, Saturday or Sunday, and I told her that it was, that you did ask me. However, our producer is a little slow and behind in printing the DVDs.
Well,
Yep.
well, the workload that's upon
we
him this time of year.
We understand. But remember, you're keeping a nice lady waiting for something that she would like to see. Okay? I guess he's listening. All right, Mike.
Okay.
Moving on here, because we killed 15 minutes, so we're going to have to catch up here. With energy costs, Mike, continuing to increase, and I don't see them going backwards, it makes it difficult for individuals to make ends meet. Is there anything being done down in Boston to help curtail these costs?
Yes, there is. We actually just passed on, the Senate passed on April 5th an energy bill. And again, this is when we were talking about people working together.
Yeah.
It was a unanimous vote, 40-0. So you had Republicans, Democrats, everyone coming together supporting this. What this legislation will do, it will create more competition for energy contracts and hopefully bring down the prices. Right now, the Commonwealth right now in renewable energy has the second lowest greenhouse gas emissions of any region in the nation. And we've actually positioned ourselves as a front runner in clean energy, which currently, the clean energy sector currently employs across the state 64,000 people. It actually has become one of the top, and we've become one of the top states for innovation, investment, employment, and policy as far as renewable energies. The average electric rate in Massachusetts is 14.24 cents per kilowatt per hour. That's the 7th highest in the United States. and it's well above the national average of 10 cents. Part of the reason for this, in comparison to other parts of the country, Massachusetts does not have an abundance of natural resources such as coal or gas. And in fact, the states in general, states in New England in general have very little domestic resources for fuel for electricity. The bill addresses the high cost of electricity in Massachusetts, and it's in an effort to support job creation and economic recovery. It seeks to reduce the price of electricity by identifying cost drivers, reviewing rates, and on a more regular basis demanding more competition. It establishes the competition the bill would require the current long-term contract programs under what we call the Green Communities Act by December 2012, and would require investor-owned utilities to competitively bid proposals for renewable energy suppliers for long-term renewable contracts. We also increased the overall net metering cap by 3% to 6%. To slip?
I tried to, but I couldn't.
3% to 6%. The legislation doubles the existing limits on municipal and privately owned projects that generate their own renewable energy. Legislation also requires gas and electric companies to file rate cases every 3 years with the Department of Public Utilities, increases from 6 to 10 months the time the Department of Public Utilities has to review cases, prevents DPU, Department of Public Utilities, from approving rate case settlements more than once every 6 years, and requires the Department of Public Utilities to spread over a 2-year period any rate increase that would exceed 10% in 1 year, with a first-year cap of 7.25%. The bill also requires the Department of Energy Resources, DOER, when it intervenes on cases before the Department of Public Utilities, to do so on behalf of all commercial and industrial ratepayers. The legislation clarifies current law regarding solar and wind property tax classifications, and also we added anaerobic digestion, which is the conversion of food waste into energy. Expands the Department of Public Utilities oversight to any transaction involving a regulated company, not just Massachusetts regulated companies. Establishes a voluntary energy efficiency pilot program for the 5 largest electric and 5 largest gas users in each utility service territory. It also allows for hydroelectric power to be counted toward the Commonwealth's renewable and alternative green energy generation goals under the Green Communities Act. And actually, getting back to the anaerobic digestion, this actually was brought to my attention because we actually may be having a company come to Millbury that was going to establish a site here where they'll be taking in food waste and converting it into energy. And the net metering, there could be some implications for the town as far as the town receiving, in the contract, receiving some benefit to this as far as power, electricity coming back to the town. So that was an important aspect that I got amended to the legislation. So hopefully they'll be successful in furthering their, right now they're in negotiations with someone right now about trying to buy a site here in town. So.
Oh, that works.
Yeah, so other than, besides just bringing down energy costs, hopefully we'll be creating jobs here in the area and hoping reducing our reliance on some of the traditional forms of electricity or power right now in Millbury. So.
Well, and you're right. We do have places that we can put that.
And actually, if you think about it, I don't know if people have been following in the Chronicle. There's the company right now that has approached the town about trying to establish a solar farm.
Yeah.
In Millbury.
Yep. And I don't. That seems to be on track.
Yeah.
From what I can see.
Yeah, actually, the company's from Miami. Actually, they came to me in Boston. Mm-hmm. Actually, I guess they came to the board and they really weren't sure whether the direction the town wanted to go in. So we established a follow-up meeting with the chairman of the Board of Selectmen and the town manager. And we also had the town planner there to ask any questions she may have. But since then, I think it's been moving along in a positive direction. So hopefully between the solar farm, and if we get the anaerobic digestion, and with Wheelabrator there, we could really be a source, Millbury could really be a good model for other communities as far as renewable energies or alternative energy supplies.
That would be, it is moving, from what I can see, watching the planning board, it seems to be, and this Board of Selectmen, it seems to be moving along at a, a reasonable pace. And I think that they'll eventually, in a short period of time, they'll come to terms.
I think so. I mean, any new form of
the selectmen are approaching it with an open mind, because they've never dealt with anything like this, but it's new.
Yeah, and as I say, in the public, you have a new product, a new manufacturing, or something that industry that comes into a community. There's always questions that people ask.
But their offer to the town, of what I saw, seems to be reasonable. They seem to, or at least they're willing to negotiate, and they started at what I thought was a respectable dollar sign.
Yeah.
You know.
And actually, and I haven't followed up on it, but I think you remember when I was on the board, and I think Paul Guida was the town manager, we were looking into getting a grant for a solar farm, a wind farm. And
Yeah, I
then
think-
I think
I-
after we left Bob and the town manager and
I think you're right.
town manager, we ended up getting the town an $85,000 grant
Well,
to
you're
do
right.
some testing.
I'm pretty. Yeah, that's exactly what. There's so
Yeah.
much going on. It's so
Yeah.
difficult to keep on top of it. But you're right. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And,
I don't know what's really going on with it. I don't know if they ever, what the test results were on the.
I can't answer that question, but I'll get back to you.
All right, that's my question for you this time.
Oh, that's. But I don't blindside you.
Well, this was just discussion,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
open discussion, dialogue.
And, then I actually now you got my curiosity up. I feel the need to ask the manager, where are we on this?
Yeah.
Now that you bring it up, I mean, there's just so I can't imagine being in Boston, because I know so much came up that the selectmen have to deal with at one time that you forget sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you just sometimes it becomes very overwhelming.
Well, in this energy piece of legislation, there was some controversy at the end. As you know, when this legislation's filed,
Yeah.
or when we're going to debate it, we are given a certain time frame to file amendments, and after that deadline's over, you can't submit any amendments. Well, we were approached by the Mass Municipal Association after the filing deadline. A letter went out to all senators opposing certain aspects of the legislation. Well, at that point, it was too late, and according to the bill, the sponsors of the bill, the Mass Municipal Association was part of the original negotiations crafting the language for this bill. But right at the end, there was some controversy about municipalities who are already in negotiations with a energy supplier and the impact on that. So overall, again, it was unanimous support. It's the right direction. We all should be heading in, but with anything, no piece of legislation ever comes out that's perfect. So there's always some aspect of it that someone's not happy with. But
See, I find that hard to believe. I think it might be a little off.
well, so this next one though, I think everyone's happy with though.
This was, yeah, even I'm happy with it. And if you can make me happy with any kind of a transportation bill, then you're halfway there, in my opinion. The Senate recently passed a transportation bond bill, and that's what Mike's talking about, to help cities and towns in the Commonwealth invest in much-needed repairs to the infrastructure in these municipalities. And obviously, you got a handle on this, Mike. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this bill?
Well, what this does, we authorized the borrowing of $885 million for bonds strictly for construction projects or transportation projects. Now, by appropriating that level, that is actually going to give us access to federal funds, which would bring the total value of this transportation bond bill that we just did up to $1.5 billion. So we're leveraging $885 million of state bonding capacity to actually expend $1.5 billion. And again, that's going to go for transportation projects throughout the state. Again, creates more jobs, puts more of our contractors to work, at laborers, construction workers back to work. And also as part of this, we actually approved our Chapter 90 funding for the cities and towns of $200 million, which now allows that money to go back to the cities and towns for their local projects, rebuilding and repairing local roads and bridges. So I think this was a positive bill that I think the selectmen and the highway department and everyone in town here should be happy with when they start repairing more of the roads and bridges in town.
Well, we seem to be going, the town seems to be going well in that direction too. They seem to have taken a very aggressive position on doing that with the Chapter 90 money. So with the increase of Chapter 90 money, that will probably get it done quicker. And let's hope so, because some of our streets are in rough shape, to say the least. You know.
Well, we've had a rough winter.
You know, you're making it very hard to keep a straight face here tonight, and I'm really concentrating on how I did in the election. And
well, your fear of a writing candidate, I don't think ever materialized.
no, it didn't, because they were too busy concentrating on some of the other major issues. Thank God. But yeah, that didn't happen. I would have bet money on that one too.
Well, actually, I think at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, there was already 1,200 voters, I think, that had voted.
Yeah, so much, because I took a count at 3, and there was 962 to be exact. My wife corrected me because I told her there was 1,000, and she says no, it wasn't. She took my figures and added them up. There's not 1,000 here, and I'm saying, well, how much am I off? And she said, 38 votes. Give me a break. So I pulled the car over, opened the door, and kicked her out. No, I'm just kidding. If anyone's going to get kicked out of the car, it would have been me. Trust me. But so 1,200 at what time was this? 3:30, 4 o'clock?
Quarter 4, 4 o'clock.
Well, if we had 1,200 at quarter 4, then I guess my prediction of 1,800 voters will be about right.
Yeah.
Because I predicted between 15 and 1,800
Yeah. So
would come out and vote, and
which is a good turnout.
in fact, I talked to the town clerk early this morning, and she predicted about 10 or 11% of the registered voters, which is terrible.
It really is.
You know.
Again, it's funny. We were talking today out there when we were holding signs that everyone with the presidential campaign coming up this year, which is usually the highest voter turnout, and then you'll have the gubernatorial, which is the next, in the state elections, then the town elections, which has the smallest turnout. But out of all 3 of the elections, the most important one to the average, or the most important impact felt by the average taxpayer, is the one being done today.
The local.
Because your board of selectmen, your school committee, your planning board, what's been your selectmen school committee, they actually, that has the biggest impact on your property tax, your local taxes.
Approximately 8,000 registered voters, and they're going to let less than 2,000 voters, far less than 2,000 voters, decide how we're going to spend $35 million, or who's going to control that $35 million. I'm sorry, folks, it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't.
But even if you look at, and this is where Massachusetts, we have such strong local government, local control of the voters, where they get the municipal elections where they can vote in the boards of selectmen, school committee, but the town meeting. You could have the board of selectmen and school committee set a direction that the town's going to be spending the money, but the voters at can go into that town meeting and they can redirect the direction the town's going to spend money and all that. And as you know, every town has a problem getting a quorum. And that's where a lot of the local people in the community can really have input in how
And
they
they just don't take advantage. We'll have, if we're lucky, because there really isn't anything of much controversy on the town meeting that I'm aware of this year. Do you know of any?
No.
No. And it's going to be, if we get 200 people there, I'll be in shock.
You'd be lucky.
My guess is we'll have about a little over 100, mostly made up of elected and appointed and department officials and department heads.
And then you worry that no one calls for a quorum count between the start of the meeting and the end.
End of the meeting, right. I've often, people often wondered why I didn't do it. I guess they figured if anybody would do it, it would be me. You don't believe that, though, do you, Mike?
What's that?
That it would be me that would call for a quorum count?
Not at all.
But the reason I don't do it is because it isn't going to make a difference, because even if we postpone the town meeting, we're not going to do any better for the next one. So you know what? You just do it and hope for the best. We're very lucky, in all fairness, to defend the people that are entrusted with this kind of money, and I'm sure you'll agree. We are very fortunate that these people have the respect and the diligency to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But, don't always count on that. Continuing the tradition of reform, Mike, the Senate passed your bill to eliminate fraud during the bidding process for public construction contracts. Notice how I slid into this?
Yes, thank you.
Talk to us about this piece of legislation, because this certainly should be of interest to everyone out there watching.
Again, this was on 2 weeks ago, April 12th. And again, it was a 37-0 vote. So it was, again, we had full bipartisan support. And this, basically what this legislation does, it eliminates the potential fraud by contractors bidding on public construction projects. There was a case, there was a town of Hanover versus a contractor where after the bidding process was over, they discovered that there had been several misrepresentations or false statements within the bid. But where at that time the town had not suffered any financial harm, the court overruled any sort of objection the town wanted to do by trying to rebid the project or cancel the bid. So what this does is that this actually establishes the definition of fraud. So now, during the bidding process, if we have a contract, and this benefits union shops, non-union shops, this is really a benefit to municipalities and the voters and transparency. Anyone who makes false or misleading statements when they're bidding a job can lose the contract based on those false or misleading statements. It simply adds the definition of fraud to our public bidding laws. Doesn't leave it up to anyone's interpretation. So it adds some more integrity to the process, and it gives some more clout or authority to the local municipalities as far as making sure and holding contractors to their statements in these bids, or their claims to what they can and can't do. So that all of these bills that we've discussed right now have been passed by the Senate. They've gone to the House, and right now, as you know, the House is doing their budget. So as we speak, they're debating their budget right now. So I don't imagine these bills will get acted upon until for several weeks. But hopefully they'll get done before the end of the session.
Yeah, they seem to be moving. Even the House seems to be moving right along, and they sometimes get bogged down. But
well, I'm sure they'll take a break after the last 3 days or 2 days doing the budget.
Oh yeah, I mean that in itself. I don't even know how do you get 100 what is it, 140 people to come together?
160, yeah.
160, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm right on top of that. I just wanted to know that. I just wanted to see if you knew. Yeah, I mean, how does that happen? You know, it does, but I'm amazed.
Well, it's the rules. You have the rules that are set in place that for the amendments that can be filed, and the times that you have to adjourn by 8 o'clock. The process of objecting to a bill. I mean, there's all sorts of rules that keep things moving. Or if you want to delay a bill or kill a bill, there's ways you can do that.
Oh, absolutely. Not that that's been done.
Never.
Never. Hardly. Recently, you've been appointed to 2 advisory boards, Mike. Can you talk to us a little bit about these 2 positions and just exactly what you do?
Well, one of them it's called the Eastern Trade Council, and it's a subgroup of what's known as the Council of State Governments, which is a national collaboration of state legislators. I went to a fellowship last year. I got nominated and selected for a fellowship last year, and for the Council of State Governments. And the individuals who were running it had spoken to me about this. And basically, what I've been appointed to, it's the Eastern Trade Council, and it's the group of representatives from Canada down the eastern seaboard through Puerto Rico, and the goal of it is to increase trade opportunities, or increase and seek out trade opportunities, importing and exporting opportunities for the eastern states. Now, where this ties into where my interest came with being on the Committee on Higher Education, I was approached by the consulate from Brazil, and they were looking to establish a program where they would actually bring students over to the United States, pay for them to go to school here, and then upon graduation they would then return back to Brazil. But what that does is it brings more students over here, which helps feed the economy. And then in turn we would also have the opportunity to allow our students then to go to Brazil to certain universities, and giving them the exposure to different cultures and different businesses and aspects of our economies. So when this opportunity came up, when we had our first meeting down in D.C. about a week ago, the Brazilian consulate was down there. Again, they're looking to, obviously my goal is to try to get them to Massachusetts. Specifically, you know, Worcester's got 14 colleges, universities in our consortium, and I've already approached them, and they're actually trying to work on some sort of proposal to make to the Brazilian consulate, but to try to expand any sort of opportunities that we can have with Brazil, and try to increase and it could just be students right now, but it can go beyond that to other type of industries. They're specifically looking at life sciences, the STEMs, biotech, certain manufacturing, allied health. They want to try to educate more of their students in those fields. Brazil actually has one of the stronger economies going right now. And then the other one, the other group that I was appointed to is the advisory board for the Dr. Lillian R. Goodman Department of Nursing at Worcester State University. So they have a nursing program, and this organization is one of the advisory boards overseeing their nursing program at Worcester State. And one thing, the graduates, I want to get this right. Find my notes here.
See, I got staples in my script, so it makes it easier.
The department enrolls approximately 300 undergraduate students and 70 graduate students each year, and offers 2 undergraduate tracks leading to the Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree, pre-licensure and registered nurse to Bachelor of Science completion, and 2 nursing tracks. Okay. Of the department's graduates from this nursing program, 84% of the graduates of this program stay and work in Massachusetts. And then with 65% of them staying and being employed here in Central Mass. So if we're looking for opportunities to job opportunities or education opportunities for our students, this is an example of a good program that the students go there, they learn the skills, they get educated, but then they come back and they stay here. We're not losing them. Everyone talks about how our students are graduating, then leaving Massachusetts, and they're going to other states. Well, this is a good example of how we've got a program where they're not.
Did you see where St. Vincent's was, I believe, in the top 10
Yes,
hospitals?
for the second year in a row.
Boy, that's something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something to be proud of. I
Yeah.
mean, it's having been a patient in the St. Vincent's Hospital, I've always praised the medical staff of the care that I got at St. Vincent's, and I stand by that. And I'm glad that they were recognized. They even knocked Mass General out, and Mass General was a fine hospital. I can remember when Mass General was I mean, people come from, and they still do, come from all over the world to be treated at Mass General, but kudos to St. Vincent's Hospital.
Actually, Senator Chandler and I were just with St. Vincent's Hospital yesterday, and the president, Eric Wexler, and they've right now got a mental health trauma unit there that it looks like they're going to have to be closing, or they can't expand due to the costs. So they're going to be maintaining 10 units there, opening up another 10 units up in Athol. So transferring some of their, right now I think that actually they have 20, I think they tried 15 units there, 15 clients that they can hold there. They're going to be moving and opening up another unit in Athol that I think can hold 10, and then there's going to have the availability of 2 to 4 in Framingham. So they're even trying to maintain, that's a costly program. Right now the reimbursement they get for every dollar they get, they only get reimbursed 61 cents. So any medical hospital such as St. Vincent's actually loses money on that. But at the Athol Hospital they determine a distressed hospital. So their reimbursement rate is actually for every dollar they get 1.1 cent back. So financially they're a little bit more viable to handle these types of cases. So, but they're going to be moving some of their patients up to there, moving and expanding, I guess I should say. So
that shows that St. Vincent's is still on the move. I mean, they just didn't build this gigantic hospital and just drop. Okay, we're here, you know. And for those of you who want to blame anybody why I'm still here, it's obvious because I go to the hospital as one of the top 10, and St. Vincent's staff is responsible for me still being able to walk around. So if you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at St. Vincent's. But I'm grateful to St. Vincent's for the care that I got there. So thank you. As a former law enforcement agent,
ooh.
You understand the importance of firearm safety, and we should all be aware, which is why you will be hosting a firearm safety, and I didn't know about this. You'll be hosting a firearm safety and education event. So why don't you, it's very local, and why don't you tell us what you can about this event.
This is actually one of the first times, Joe, that you're actually reading verbatim some of the notes. Usually you just flow with it.
Yeah, but you know, I'm tired today. It was a long day, election day, and I'm not myself.
Okay.
All right. So,
Okay.
but seeing that we're being critical, I notice you've been flubbing all over your script.
I know. It's been a long day,
we're
like
both
you said.
not
Yeah.
in the. We both had a very trying day. Well, I know you've had a trying week because it started when I called you to inform you of the departure of one of our good friends, brother, our former temporary town manager, Joe Montecalvo's brother, Tony, passed away.
Yeah.
And so I had the pleasure of calling you, and you had to drive some distance to get back here for the wake, which you did. I give you credit for that. Not many people would do that.
Oh, thank you.
And and I know you had a busy weekend. I've had a busy weekend. and we've certainly had it busy today. And I'm just glad in an hour and 15 minutes today will be over as far as the votes, and we'll count them, and it'll be the end. And I look forward to serving the people of the town of Millbury.
2
And
years?
I'm
That's
assuming.
2 years?
No, it's a 3-year term.
All right, there you go.
It's a 3-year
So
term,
before we forget, what I'm doing, I'm partnering with the Auburn Sportsman's Club and the Gun Owners Action League to sponsor a firearm safety and education day. And what this will do, obviously, we're 32 spaces available where we can, Gun Owners Action League will bring in the certified instructors that will teach firearm safety, and by the end of the day, the attendees of the class will qualify for their license to carry a firearm. This is going to be open to male and female, so this is actually going to be one of the first classes that where both sexes have gone. Usually it's just a male class or a female class, so this is going to be one of the first ones that they're doing jointly. And for people who want to carry pepper spray or mace, they need a FIT card. So by attending this class, they will also now have the capabilities of getting their license to carry and the capabilities of legally carrying the pepper spray. Right now there is a piece of legislation trying to remove that requirement for pepper spray or the mace, but as of right now it's still in place, and anyone carrying it is supposed to be licensed or have a license to carry.
And I don't think that should change either.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Pros and cons.
yeah, but there's a lot of people calling asking for the restriction to be removed.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
respectfully disagree, but I'm not. I got mine, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
Based on, I like to wave to people that are out there in the audience. What I want to say to you is, how many people? You say you got 35 instructors that are
Oh,
coming?
no. The class is open to 32 people. We're
Oh.
we're limited to 32.
Oh, okay. So how many people you expect?
As of today, I think we had almost 25 people. So it's filling up. It's filling up fast. If anyone interested in attending, to register for the event, email electmikemore@gmail.com. And again, if you're
That'll be going across the screen.
okay, if you're actually interested, please try to get to us as soon as possible, because it is, again, I think we have 6 slots left. So
That should be a good time.
yeah, no, so yeah,
You can have fun and still respect the safety aspect of firearms. I always felt that safety should be the first priority in the handling of a firearm, and how accurate your shooting is should be secondary, because under those stressful situations, I don't see anybody bullseyeing their target. God forbid you would ever be in that position where you need to draw your weapon.
and actually what we're looking at maybe for the fall or next spring, right now we've had several people who have called up that have wanted to bring their son or daughter, but who are minors, under 18, and this class is actually restricted to being
Adults.
adults 18 or over. One person in general, actually, their son is looking to get wants to get a hunting license, and to do that, you've got to show some sort of approved
Course.
firearm safety course. So
But they have special courses for those.
they do, but this might have been able to help further them along. So next spring, either the fall or the spring, depending on how this goes, maybe we'll look at seeing if we can try to do something for the 17 to 14-year-olds or something in that line.
Always thinking, Mike, you're always thinking. You know? But that's a good thing. And it's very nice of the fine folks down at the Auburn Sportsman Club to make their facility, which is a fine facility, I may add,
Yeah. Yeah.
available.
And the course
to
is free. We're going to cover the costs, all the costs. So there'll be no.
No wonder your treasurer is ready to choke you.
Yes.
That's all right. Bill earns his keep. You know, that's what good treasurers do.
Yes.
you
yes.
know. And
But then when you're trying to do that mailing, or you're trying to do this,
well, that makes it a little difficult.
Yeah.
But you know what? I mean, overall, you got to admit that he does a fine job.
oh,
I mean,
he
you'd
does a
hate
great
to,
job. Yeah,
You know,
really does.
he's very conscientious. We're talking about Bill Borowski, by the way. Why we're talking about Bill Borowski, I don't know, but
Well,
he's Mike's treasurer.
Who will, after 8 o'clock tonight, or 8:15,
Will be a member of the school
will be a
committee.
member of the school committee again. He's running unopposed.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm glad he's going back on
Yeah.
the school committee. I know that he missed it, and it missed him. Because Billy's that type of person. We can say this because he's unopposed, and by the time this is broadcast,
it will be over.
it'll be over. Billy's the kind of person that just puts a different spin on everything. I mean, yeah, I remember when he was on the planning board and when he was on the school committee, they'd be talking apples, and then all of a sudden he comes out and wants to talk peaches. But it makes sense what he says sometimes, and. But then sometimes he catches himself midway through and say, "Nah, this isn't going to work," and he just drops it. But he's quite amusing without wanting to be, I think.
Yeah.
You know. But before we depart into the sunset, the artwork was provided by Elizabeth Havens, and also set design provided by Tasteful Touch Ups, Judy Kofsky being the young lady involved with that organization. And they're both from Briley Pond, I understand, and we want to thank these lovely ladies for taking the time and donating, providing us with the background for tonight's show. Thank you so much, ladies. We do appreciate the participation of all our people that come in and set up different designs and different sets. Also, this show is going to be broadcast during Mother's Day. And we want to take the time
To wish all our mothers out there a happy Mother's
Day.
Day.
Happy Mom's Day, and every day is Mother's Day, and dads, if they're lucky, get one day. I think women would disagree with me on that, though, but dads wouldn't. Which reminds me,
Yes.
my wife and I recently celebrated her wedding anniversary.
Oh, how many years?
100. But in all actuality, in American years, it was, in dog years, it was 100. But in regular years, it was, we got married in 99. So what's that, 13 years married, 15 years together. She celebrated her birthday and her anniversary. Somehow I was eliminated from that. There must be a message in there. What do you think?
Oh, her anniversary.
Right. Her anniversary, not mine, hers. Mike, why don't you let people know how they can get a hold of you before we wrap up here?
My office number is 617-722-1485, and my email address is michael.moore@masenate.gov. Again, feel free to call. If there's any issues that we can address for you, please feel free to call. Or if you have any questions that you want us to discuss, any issues, I should say, that you want us to discuss between now and the next meeting, not next show, rather, just let us know, and we'll gladly try to research them.
Sometimes it turns into a meeting,
Yeah.
But and everyone knows how to get a hold of me. My cell number is going across the screen, and again, you can get a hold of Mike or me, and I'll, if you really need to get a hold of Mike, and you can't remember how, just get a hold of me when you see me, and I'll direct you and give you the proper way to get a hold of Mike, and that'll take care of that. We want to thank our producer and director, Kevin Kostopoulos. We also want to thank Irene Sullivan for her great job that she did in outfitting us and dressing us for tonight's show. Bob Sullivan, Chief of Security. Tish and Pat Hayes as far as production, and I think that's it, Mike. Unless you got something you want to say.
Just an ending to end the show. Again, happy Mother's Day, and
Ditto.
Look forward to seeing you all next month.
Right. Happy Mother's Day, folks.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue. and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Working so hard like a soldier, can't afford a thing on TV. Deep in my heart I abhor ya. Can't get food for that kid. Good God, we gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh Lord, we gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Who is to blame in what country? Never can get to the one. Dealing in multiplication, and they still can't feed everyone. Oh no, we gonna rock down to Electric Avenue,